Hey out there, people. So today we're talking about my top five most pretentious horror movies. This isn't a list of the worst horror movies per se, just the most pretentious ones. I should say that, everyone's classifications for what qualifies as pretension will be different. Pretension is kind of subjective. But I think it's a fine line that you can really say whether something is really pretentious or not. And for whatever reason, horror movies tend to be a lot more pretentious than any other genre. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the psychological aspect, maybe it's the fact that the filmmakers are able to pull a lot more tricks with your mind. But there are some movies like Begotten, which some people have called pretentious, but really aren't. Begotten has a fun story and really cool visuals. And then, of course, there's, stuff like Hereditary. I think it's fine to, pretend like you're, really high class and high stakes and really important. If you really are really important, you really do have a really cool story to tell. But I classify Pretension as a movie that has a fucking stupid story, but pretends as if it's some kind of mind-blowing galaxy brain 3D head expand shit. So here's my list of top 5 most pretentious horror movies. There are quite a few. This isn't the full list of pretentious horror movies, just my top 5. There's plenty of other ones out there. At 5, we have a movie that I reviewed a long time ago, I think back in 2020, so 2 years ago at this point. Back when my reviews were a lot more stilted and I didn't exactly have the same, casual, smooth, dulcet delivery to the camera. Or maybe it was just that I had a Chromebook at the time and Chrome operating system is terrible. It Follows is a movie that has not aged well. I didn't like it in 2020, and rewatching it for this list, it's bad. I don't get what anyone sees in this movie. It's terrible.
Come on.
Just like with Drive with Ryan Gosling, it has the same color palette as the 80s without even having any homages to the 80s. It's like it wants to be an 80s homage movie, but set in the present day with boring characters and nothing really nostalgic. I guess it just banks on the marketing hype. I pointed out in my older review that the car on the poster is the only old-fashioned 80s car in the movie, but it's on the poster to trick people into thinking it's an 80s type movie, but it's just not. It's just a present-day teen drama. My other review, I compared it to It, with Pennywise, which is a way cooler fucking story. That might have been unfair. It Follows really isn't that derivative of It. It almost seems insulting to compare it, because It Follows is on such a lower tier than Stephen King's masterpiece. Nonetheless, I do think there are really common elements that It Follows is definitely trying to confuse people into thinking they're watching it. And it's just such a better movie. But yeah, It Follows is just unbearable. Just these whiny teenagers just screaming at each other, "Oh no, the monster's over there!" And only one of them can see the monster, but she doesn't point at the monster. It's so stupid. It's like watching a bunch of bumbling idiots. And I have no idea why all teen dramas are so terrible. Frickin' 13 Reasons Why, frickin' Euphoria. You'd have to be pretty self-absorbed to worry about a period of your life that only lasts a decade. It's annoying. It's so stupid. And unlike something like It, which, you switch between the characters when they're kids and when they're adults and the mental conflict they're in, it's just I'm 17 and I got an STD because the monster in It Follows is literally just a metaphor for AIDS or something. It's about as intimidating as one of those old 80s PSAs with Cough the smoking monster or whatever.
Being tested for sexually transmitted diseases doesn't have to be scary. Learn more at getcheckedomaha.com.
It's great that, you know, this movie is anti-STD, but like, use a condom. It's so easily preventable. I don't care about a monster that's just a stand-in for like a cigarettes or whatever, you know. I'm watching a horror movie. I'm not watching a fucking PSA. Like, yeah, I get it. STDs are bad. Okay. Don't make your monster just a physical representation of an STD. It's so heavy-handed and it thinks it's so clever in the freaking opening scene and everything. It's awful. It's one of those 2010 movies just like Drive that like nobody's going to remember because it's just so bad. It Follows is just up its own ass with how like clever and the cinematography and like get over yourself, you know. Alright, at number 4 we have Bird Box. Bird Box is a movie that got talked about way too much. The hype was way too big for a movie that has literally nothing to it. It's just a quiet place, except instead of not making sounds, you can't see the monsters. I'm glad this trend died out quick because it's so boring, like just watching all these blindfolded idiots running around. Oh, I can't see the monster. The monster will make me crazy, and then I'll want to kill myself. I even made a whole like sketch about the concept. It's just so stupid.
What is wrong with you? No, stop it!
The best horror characters are like multi-layered and don't just have one feature that, you know, the protagonist has to blindfold themselves or whatever. Also, you know, it's H.P. Lovecraft inspired, and like H.P. Lovecraft's monsters are freaking shit. Like, I don't give a damn about any of them, because H.P. Lovecraft is such a lazy bozo, he can't even explain what they want, or what their motivations are, what their drive is. Like, what's Cthulhu want? Who knows? I don't care about the monsters in Bird Box, because I can't even see them. Like, what am I supposed to be scared of? They're so dumb. And it's obviously just so Amazon or whatever stupid streaming service pumped this thing out, or Netflix or whatever, I forget. They're all the same. It's just so they can cheap out on special effects and they don't need to come up with anything cool or innovative. Then again, it is just based on a novel, so like, yeah. And Sandra Bullock is so phoning it in. It's just like...
Probably the foreman wondering where I am. Just hold your horses.
She's a good actress, and it's nice that her last movie before her hiatus will be The Lost City, which actually looks funny and quirky and, you know, fun. But Bird Box, oh my gosh, what a heavy-handed, just bloated, drawn-out, just pile of nonsense. Don't look at the monsters. The monster's gonna make you crazy. Then you'll bang your head against the wall. So stupid. Miss me with that Bird Box shit. Alright, at number 3, we have yet another movie that I made a review on very early, all the way back in 2018. One of my first reviews was for the Jordan Peele movie Us, an apocalyptic movie disguising itself as a home invasion movie through the marketing material. A terribly written movie with dozens of plot holes, because of course the whole movie is just a giant metaphor, which is seriously annoying. If you know one thing about me, it's that I like literal stories. I like Stephen King's books because he doesn't lie to you, he doesn't hide his monsters behind any bullshit, he cuts to the chase. If he says Carrie's blowing people up with her mind, he means that. If he says Pennywise is eating some people, he means that. If he says Christine's running some people over, I bet he means that. Jordan Peele, on the other hand, marketed himself as the next great horror director, despite the fact that his career is literally just composed of dumb sketches with his friend Key, where they talk about how they're black and white names are different, and it's so lame, and like Key and Peele is terrible. It's a terrible comedy show. I have no idea why this guy was given like tons of movies to direct, and like it's ridiculous. Like, this guy is not talented. I'd argue Key is maybe even a little bit talented, but like Peele? he's so boring, and none of his ideas land. It's like Get Out is just a shitty ripoff of Rosemary's Baby, but with racism instead of sexism. Ooh, then you have his third movie, Antebellum, which, you know, nobody really talked about. Now he has Nope. His new movie is just called Nope, because I guess he just doesn't give a shit, and nobody's talking about Nope, so his directorial career fizzled out pretty fast. Especially, you know, he was given the host of the new Twilight Zone, and he was able to write all the episodes, and it's just like, stop giving this guy, like, this shit. He's not a good director. He's a shitty comedian from Comedy Central who... There's a sketch called Negro Town. There's a sketch called Little Homie, where the whole joke is just that there's a black puppet. It's like, yeah, Roosevelt Franklin beat you to the punch there about 40 years, but yeah, you're so clever and subversive and wacky. Wow. It's like, that's their only joke. And you go to, like, the 90s with, like, In Living Color, and there's so many, like, clever stuff, you know? And that's like an all-black sketch comedy show, but there's more than two people. Key and Peele seem to think they're like master quick change artists who can play like 40 different characters and you'll never know it's them. But Damon Wayans, they ain't. They have zero range. Key is always just Key. Peele is always just Peele. Getting off topic though, Us is possibly Jordan Peele's worst movie. It is just like abysmal. You know, the scissor people are supposed to look cool. They don't. The freaking voices they make are so dumb. And it's like, the logistics of the scenario just make no sense. The movie just dives off a cliff. And of course we have an appearance by Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric's Awesome Splotch.
Oh shit. No. Yeah, there's something out there.
Don't fuck with me, Josh.
I'm not fucking with you. I'm serious. There's something out there.
Yet another unbearable show. I didn't even notice it was him, because honestly, who notices when Tim Heidecker gets a part, you know? It's so boring. Jordan Peele's movies are just full of weird, like, racism. He's just like, this white family fucking dies, and then, like, you know, the scissor people are a metaphor for, like, classism. Wow, Jordan, you sure are breaking new territory by pointing out that a social hierarchy exists. You're really breaking news to the audience here. Because Jordan Peele is trying to, make fun popcorn fare that's like, you know, just a fun horror movie. At the same time, he's trying to make this really deep, impactful, like, message about racism and stuff. Like, you're not Sidney Poitier, you know. Either you make Heat of the Night and Raisin in the Sun and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, or you make frickin' Nightmare on Elm Street, you know. Don't do both. That's a stupid genre mashup, and the execution is just terrible, and it's so annoying. I'm glad that Jordan Peele's film career looks like it's finally done, because, like, he just tried so hard and ran out of steam, ran off a cliff just like the plot of Us. It is legitimately a pretentious freaking horror movie. Alright, at number 2, we have American Psycho. I can't fucking stand this movie, but for whatever reason, everyone seems to think it's some kind of underrated hidden gem. Oh my gosh, you've seen American Psycho? Yeah, only about 10,000 times. All these lines about Patrick Bateman. Oh, I'm an idea. Christian Bale's one of those actors who, like, his only good movie is The Machinist, but for whatever reason, nobody's seen The Machinist. They just know him as Batman and American Psycho. Much like with It Follows trying to ride off the steam of It, American Psycho, of course, the title is supposed to trick people into thinking they're watching an actual good movie like Norman fucking Bates, but then it's Patrick Bateman. Yeah, very clever. And, you know, you'll say, oh, it's adapted from the novel. There's no way Bret Easton Ellis didn't, like, think about this shit. Oh, Bates, Bateman, I'm tricking people into thinking they're reading a Psycho novelization, but it's really just this boring bonfire of the vanities cracker garbage.
No, put it in the carton.
Sorry.
Patrick Bateman just is a shit character. He's a shit antagonist. He's a shit protagonist. Some people might think it's really interesting to watch this rich asshole do rich person things. I could care less. I don't care that he kills people. He ain't Norman Bates. He's not give a shit. He ain't Michael Myers. He's not intimidating. He's walking around swinging his big dick energy going, oh, I'm so scary. Yeah, sure. Willem Dafoe and Chloe Sevigny are in it. And they're both great actors in other movies, not in this fucking trash. One thing that might be said for it is that the sets are decently period accurate. Aside from that, it is just like complete troll. You just sit through it. There's all these inner monologues. You know, maybe in the novel it was more like, it worked more because those are a more novel structure, you know, the inner monologues. You can put more details in the character's head, flesh him out a little. I really don't think Patrick Bateman is the kind of character who can be made interesting, though. He's just like so self-absorbed.
I want no one to escape. But even after admitting this, there is no catharsis.
Fucking boring. Yeah, we get it. Okay. Maybe some rich people are secret serial killers on the side. What else the fuck is new? It's New York, Wall Street. Miss me with that. Let's watch the freaking Psycho. And it doesn't even make any sense because Norman Bates is already an American. He's an American Psycho. So how is this American Psycho different? Call it like Rich Psycho or something to differentiate it from the Psycho who's already American and who's in a better movie, which is scarier and better. American Psycho just completely flops on its face. I've never liked this movie. Screw this movie. This movie is overrated. You know, it's incel material. Every freaking unbearable incel's like, I want to be Patrick Bateman. I want to be Jordan Belfort. Well, yeah, good luck with that. Really, like, it's not gonna happen, okay? Alright, at number one, I know you saw this coming, we're talking Donnie Darko. Not only the most pretentious horror movie ever made, possibly the most pretentious movie ever made, period. This movie carries being pretentious to a new level. If someone ever asks me, what do you define as pretentious, I'll just point to Donnie Darko and go, this movie tries so hard to be cool and mind-bending and thought-provoking and freaking deep and edgy, but it just is like a massive, just like dumpster pile.
Stop eating Twinkies and maybe go out for field hockey. You know what? No one ever knows what they want to be when they grow up.
Donnie Darko is just like beyond redemption. It's the kind of movie that I think you should watch just once to make fun of it and like, you know, what it's aiming for and then how horrible the execution is. It should be watched because it is like a very original movie that you wouldn't see made these days, but on the other hand, it's not an interesting movie like at all. If you go in for psychological stimulation, if you go in for a time travel paradox, guess what? A ghost did it all along. That's like if in Primer it was revealed that Freddy Krueger was switching around the boxes, or Michael Myers is responsible for the shit in Back to the Future. When you introduce a paranormal element to a time travel paradox, it just becomes nonsense. Like, it's so stupid. The bunny costume, the Smurf sex, it just reeks of like early 2000s angst. It doesn't even make sense because it's set in like 1989 or whatever. Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't even look like he's in 1989. He just looks like he's in 2001. The period accuracy straight out the fucking window. This movie got zero marketing because, you know, it's right before 9/11. You can't have airplanes in a movie during 9/11. That's insensitive, you know. It's just like a colossal dumpster pile. Just a colossal train wreck of a movie. It's the kind of movie that I think should be ranked right up there with, you know, The Room and Birdemic. It's just that laughably incompetent. Jake Gyllenhaal's edgy emo smile is just classic, just a classic meme right there.
Why?
Just, I'm Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm so creepy. It's so pretentious. And that's why I think Donnie Darko, with all its talk of, you know, Einstein-Rosen bridges and self-fulfillment, and oh my gosh, you know, it qualifies as probably the most pretentious horror movie. It really has no equal in the field of being pretentious. It's almost amazing how pretentious Donnie Darko is as a film. It is pretension on another level. Pretension no other movie before or after it has achieved. And you know, for a movie about a guy in a bunny costume, that's pretty gosh dang, pretty high bar to set. Because you could have just made Donnie Darko a goofy, fucking self-aware, you know, schlock fest, but you wanted to make it this deep, edgy, mysterious, time travel, psychological thriller horror. And it just like fails so miserably. It is the type of film that you should at least watch to get exposed to what actual like pretension looks like. A lot of people say I'm pretentious, but watch Donnie Darko and tell me that ain't the most pretentious shit you've ever frickin' seen. Anyway, that's my list of top 5 most pretentious horror movies that are like genuinely some of the most, you know, frickin' thinking highly of themselves. Oh, I'm so great. Watch me, watch me, watch me. You know, annoying frickin' horror movies that just... And I've reviewed some of them. I've reviewed Us. I reviewed It Follows. I've reviewed Donnie Darko. I might do more reviews of them in the future, because I reviewed Us, like I said, a long time ago, like 4 years ago. And it might be interesting to see what my thoughts on it now are. That said, if you enjoyed this video, then smash those buttons, do all the stuff, do the Macarena, and until next time, sayonara, suckers.